Oktoberfest, and we're sort of the South by Southwest of Wisconsin, and just really getting a feel for what are they interested in. Is it walkability? Is it bikeability? Safe environment? School districts? All needs of the candidates are so different. The nice thing about what we're able to sell as a company is where Justin's saying, hey, come to the area, and when you grow to the point of you're at the top of what you can do with Warner, these are all the other companies. We sell a lot, especially in our campus recruiting, that you can job hop within Plexus. Starting manufacturing, go over to the design center, our corporate office, if they're interested in relocatability. We've got other design centers in the U.S. We've got some facilities in Guadalajara, and then also we have some folks that have been doing some expatriate over in our European area. So we can kind of sell how we share talent within the company, and with each opportunity, it's like they're going to a new side of the business and learning a new thing. Especially with engineers, they like to stay challenged, and so that gives us a great opportunity to show them different aspects of it. So, but a lot of it goes back to what do you want to do where you live, and let me see what I can find out, that will help. And it could be volunteerism too, and so it's just letting them know of the Kiwanis and the JCs and the Rotaries and things like that as well.
So Jay, it sounds like it's all very custom depending on the individual and so forth, and being someone who's relocated 8 times, I do get that. Is there something, just a couple things though, that you find in your discussions with candidates, maybe just the top couple things that resonate across the board with candidates in general about this area that you consider attractants, and what are the deterrents?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would say attractants would be there's always something to do, whether it's the Mile of Music or the farmers markets or the different events that are going on outside during the summer. A lot of people love the outdoors piece of it, so we're really selling that Lake Winnebago is right here. You're a short drive from Lake Michigan and all the different High Cliff State Park and things. So really selling that part. I would say the deterrent piece of it is, I'm talking to a candidate on Friday that's currently in Tennessee, and his factory's going to be closing. He could relocate to Springfield, but he doesn't want to go. I said, but why are you talking to someone in Wisconsin that's even further north than Springfield? So the climate is one of those things, and I think it's also one of those things where we sometimes are our worst enemy when it comes to, well, why would you want to, and I could count very quickly the amount of times with our Florida person that started on Monday that someone talked about the weather, either polar vortex, a couple weeks ago, or the snowstorm that we just got yesterday. And it's like, okay, you guys, you're gonna chase her away if you keep bringing up all the things that we grew up here, living in. So now she's originally from Chicago, so she knew what she was getting into. But I would say probably weather or climate, the winters are probably the biggest deterrent for some folks that have never lived here in this area before.
So can you sell winter activities?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. To the right person. Again, it all goes back to there isn't a universal recruitment process that's cookie cutter. Each candidate that goes through your process is looking at either the company for a different reason, the job, or or they're relocating to the area. And even just a lot of the candidates I'm talking to, they're just from the Midwest, and so it's not specifically Wisconsin, not specifically Fox Valley. They're just looking to get back closer within drivability to family and or friends where they originally grew up.
So how do we get past that? Because Minnesota does, Minneapolis gets past
Sure.
the same climate. So how do we? And maybe it's because they don't talk about it as much as we do.
Well, I think that's one of those. It's one of those things where you ask, why are you going to Minneapolis? It's like, well, because of the winters here are cold. Well, it's actually colder there than it is here.
Exactly.
But it's the vibe of what that area has marketed at the campuses, and so that's something that I think this area can do a greater job on. And it's great to see the WEDC doing it now. Just marketing the state of Wisconsin in a variety of different things, including veterans that are coming out of out of active service. And so that's where a lot of our campus recruiting is, not just selling the company, but also selling where our locations are.
No, we sell climate a different way, is we call winter an annoyance. We don't have hurricanes, wildfires, Zika viruses, you know, you are pretty much immune from that. We have fresh water and clean water forever here, and, you know, take all those things into consideration, and it's a good place to live.
Yeah, the only perfect place is San Diego, and it's very expensive.
Yeah, well, you're on the wrong side of the fault there, so.
Right, yeah.
So there's a problem there too. There's no perfect place. Yeah.
So we've kind of done a really good job of keeping a discussion and doing Q&A. I want to give you an opportunity as well, and you have plenty of time, so, and then we can also do the Q&A if that's what you do.
Well, I think a lot was covered already. For my company, we're a young company, so the average demographic age is 26. So I'm marketing to young people that are like in the zone of wanting to establish a family. And I grew up in southeastern Wisconsin, lived in Indiana, lived in lower Michigan, and then relocated back to the Fox Valley. So I always try to match or be a concierge of what the Fox Valley has to offer, and hone in on that. And I also try to partner people, new hires, with existing employees with similar interests and likes. So if they're a marathon runner, or I mean, it could be a million different things. I try to, my soccer players getting together and having their own team meetups and things like that. So I try to make it a very unique experience. That's one of the reasons I like working for smaller companies. I have that energy and effort to do that. And so I really zone in on it's safe, it's family orientated, the schooling system's great. You give your kids a great education, they can go anywhere from there, and then hopefully, I also talk about how people come back, you know. People graduate, they go to college somewhere else, but they usually end up coming home because it's a great place to live, so.
So you said you worked with a lot of young people. I mean, that's a pretty young average age.
It is.
Do you have to approach them differently than people who are, or do you approach them differently versus people who are further along in their careers?
You know, it's interesting for me because I do work for an engineering company, and I find that that type of personality is more conservative anyway. So they're looking long-term, and they're looking for placement. They're not just thinking, what's fun today? They're thinking, I want to buy a house I can invest in, and I'll still be there in 15 years because it makes sense. So it's a unique feel for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Is there any way for you at C3 to connect with your peers beyond SHRM? I mean, specifically to, if you have a smaller company, you want the same advantages that a bigger company has in terms of peer groups or sports or, you know, activities connected to the community. Is there a way for you to connect?
I mean, I do see myself as a resourceful person, and I have peers that I reach out to and sometimes partner with. You know, internally, I mean, we do have a softball team. We do laser tag team building. We go ice skating over the lunch hour. And I think that we're small enough that we can make a lot of stuff work internally pretty well.
Right.
But when we talk about housing, I almost feel like I'm on my own trying to figure out all the temporary housing options for employees, where a bigger company obviously has better resources at that.
How about, and this is for all of you guys, but how about on the diversity scale? So that to me is a unique
Yes.
challenge, way beyond weather, you know, so how are you guys managing the value proposition for a diverse population that you're trying to recruit?
I'll just say real quick, like, that was one of the notations I made. I feel like when you're trying to relocate people to this area, it is just so not diverse in general, and that is a challenge, making people feel like they can make those connections and everything like that. And honestly, like C3, we're striving to be more diverse, but we aren't that diverse right now. And personally, I'd love to see the area grow that way, and I know we're trying to make strides at that. So that is a challenge for us.
For the for the people that you do end up, the diverse people that you do end up getting to your company, do you see a high prevalence of relocation after being there for a while and then leaving?
With C3, we are not that diverse. I work for some other companies, construction companies and things like that. I've probably seen a higher turnover with retention in regards to keeping people that just aren't relocated back to the area. I do.
Yeah, I would agree. Yeah, I think I have a couple people that I think of within our HR team that, you know, African American, moved up here from Milwaukee and probably within 8 months wanted to relocate back home closer to family. Either they felt that they were out on an island, you know, we did everything we could to, again, ask those questions of what are you interested in, and, you know, here's a bunch, but it was one of those things where they felt so disconnected, and especially within that African American family, you know, family is everything, and so they just felt like they were really out on an island. They felt that push and pull, and ultimately they went right back down to the Milwaukee area.
Back to maybe Jerry's point before about corporate collaboration, would you ever call KC because they have those internal networks, and do you use those systems and say, hey, I've got some issues here, can you help us out?
Yeah, a lot of cases, you know, again, with the fight for talent, it's one of those things where I have that on my rainy day wish list to create that same type of, I mean, Casey is, you know, best in show in regards to, they were way above the curve of us. You know, Thrivent, you know, also has a very good program in place, especially for their young professional leadership development. Miller Electric is another one. So a lot of us are trying to, you know, sort of get best practices of those companies, and then how do we create it within our company culture. The hardest selling point has always been the time dedicated to putting it together, and showing the results of putting these programs together when it comes to retention. And so, but yeah, I think it's difficult for companies. You know, I hire engineers, and so does, you know, so it's one of those things where we're going after the same people in a lot of cases, and you know, you're able to sell smaller company, family feel. I'm able to sell big company, a lot of opportunities for growth. The candidate really makes that decision, and this is, you know, why they're able to do that, is because they know that they're a sought after item right now, and they can really choose, do I want to be a smaller company or larger company.
One question I had is, a lot of the research out there shows that the millennials especially, but the largest workforce out there right now, really values being able to get involved in their community, either through charitable giving, volunteering, and somehow making a difference in the world. Do you find that being something that comes up? Do you use that at all when you're recruiting, and how do you do that?
Yeah, so I'm glad you bring that up, because especially with the millennial demographic, there's two very, very important things for them when considering a company or a culture. And one of those is diversity. That is something that comes up very, very commonly, and it's on Werner's radar, and we're heavily investing in trying to roll out different programs to improve that. But then the other is the community engagement and community involvement. And like Jay had mentioned, with some of the activities and things that you do with your interns and whatnot to get them out doing community service, Feeding America, Riverview Gardens, those are some of the things that we've borrowed, but it is something that is becoming more and more prevalent when I talk to candidates. And if you don't have anything to present to them to say, here's the things that we can provide you, then you pretty much have already lost. So.
The candidates, especially millennial candidates, they want to know what your social responsibility is in regards to, you know, if you have a foundation, where do you invest your time and your talents? And actually, that's we're redoing our careers page right now, because we don't have any of that on there. And it just continues to be a question that we see is, what's your social responsibility, and how can I be part of that?
I agree with that, the last point. It's, you know, you can show you have a foundation, but they all want to know how they can be a part of it. So I mean, we have our own foundation, so they can join in on any of those volunteer opportunities. But yeah, for, you know, all companies to show that, you know, how each individual can be a part of the area as well.
So is that a make or break proposition? for a lot of millennials in making decisions? I mean, is that big of a factor?
It's the
Or
additional-
is that more like icing on the cake?
It's icing on the cake. You know, I feel there's times where, they're going through a pros and cons list in a lot of cases, and it's a
Yes.
company match list, and this company provides this one doesn't, and through the course of the scales hopefully get weighted in your favor because you're providing more of those things, either the company is or the area is providing more things that they're looking for that's on, and that's one thing I asked the candidate, what's your wish list? Both from the company and from where you wanna live, if they're not from this area. Because I wanna make sure it's a good fit for them as well. If they're looking for things that this area doesn't provide, I'm pretty upfront about that, because I don't wanna waste their time and the dollars of getting them here for on-site interviews and that type of thing if we're just not gonna be the right region for them.
And we're looking for icing on the cake stuff, the point of difference, the difference makers, and really, I think one of the things that this area has in spades is the whole not-for-profit, the give back,
Yep.
that whole ethic. And I don't know if we're tapping into that nearly as much. I was really kind of astounded when I first came here about the level of activity in this area, where you can contribute and be part of something other than work, and be a part of something other than yourself.
To elaborate on your point, I think one thing that I've, kind of a theme that because this is something I think about all the time, but you can be involved at a fairly high level in a giving back capacity without having to contribute dollars as a young professional in our communities. There are opportunities to be on boards that if you went to Chicago as a 23, 24-year-old young professional, that you'd never even would even know who you are.
I totally agree.
So I think we have a huge opportunity there to not only communicate the opportunity to volunteer and give back, but the opportunity to really make an impact in your community, in your company, in a big way, right away when you move here. Obviously it's what the candidate makes of it, but you could be sitting in the mayor's office, on a Tuesday, having a conversation about something that you're passionate about or something you want to get involved in, but that would not happen in other larger communities.
And it's really an opportunity for leadership development and influence and so forth. And frankly, you don't always get that in your corporate positions, particularly bigger companies. Your tail feathers are clipped, in the beginning, and you have to earn those stripes. But you can go to a not-for-profit and kind of make immediate contributions. So it'd be really cool if we could find a way to heighten that.
I think there's a part of this that you need to figure out how to deal with, and that is that if you look at the whole spectrum of companies, there's some that aren't very involved in the community, but many are. But many of them are very quietly involved, especially as it relates to media. And there'll be someone down the road who will have it on their website and publish it in the paper. And so when a candidate looks on a website and doesn't find it, doesn't mean it doesn't exist. And
To them, it doesn't exist.
Right.
to them it doesn't exist.
It's not right.
And we wouldn't, I'll talk for ourselves, we wouldn't put it on the website just to flaunt it, because that's not why we do it. We never go there. And
I think that's true, Bob. I think our company has behaved like that a lot more in the past. We're trying to change that now to be more out there and vocal about it. But I think, as Donna said, this area historically has been known as being, more charitable giving, not just corporately, but individuals. And so if we can find some of those statistics to even just, that makes a statement in itself. It's just our region is very charitable and
Yeah, and I wasn't even really talking, Renee, exactly, I think you and I are connected here, about the company promoting its foundation or its pet causes. I'm talking about, hey, we, the company, are located in an area where you can connect on all kinds of different
Right.
not-for-profits.
Exactly.
In fact, maybe you don't want to get affiliated with the company thing. Maybe you want to form social networks outside of the company, and one way to do that is, hey, join your favorite not-for-profit. What's your interest?
Right.
What's your interest area? Let's hook you up
Exactly.
with
And-
something like that.
And to Bob's point too, I would agree that I think businesses need to be professional facing.
but at the same time, there is a platform, right? That's why social media exists. So I think social media is the place to say, look what we did, we got high honors, we got an award, we did this, we're going green, but I think your website is your website, and there's time and a place to put and boast about yourself, and LinkedIn is a really great place to get things out there. Facebook is a great place to get things out there, but the website, I would leave that as your business, as your foundation. One of the questions I did have for the three of you really quick is, it sounds like there's a lot of great ideas at this table, but Jay, you struck an interest because you said you're saving the diversity topic or the collaboration topic for a rainy day. Is it because you guys feel that you're so indebted in finding talent and recruitments that you're too busy to invest in these other topics that we've talked about? Is that fair to say?
Yeah, it was the affinity groups.
Did you know, and this is, there are bot scraping tools out there now to help you guys like that, to free up some of your time, that bring the recruits to you, so it's not you cold calling or searching all day online for recruiters. So it might be just an educational piece to educate yourself that in the digital space, there are things like that you can do and integrate onto the back end of your website, because I think it's really important to not save it for a rainy day, right? Because diversity, you said, is one of the top concerns. Charitable efforts is a top concern. But, and I'm not saying that you said it in that way, Jay, but if anybody says, well, we don't have enough manpower right now, then that is a concern right there, because it's like those are really important pieces to get people to your company. But if you're too busy, then how do you bring that full circle?
Yeah, a lot of it is, in my almost 20 years of recruiting, this is the most I've spent time per candidate because there are not a lot of candidates and there are a lot of companies that are in competition. And so you are really babysitting, nursing a candidate through the entire process in regards to initial conversation, follow-up conversation. Hey, can't wait to see you on site. Hey, how did it go on site? You're spending so much time, and so like I look at my recruitment load right now, I've got 42 openings, and so that's 42 sets of candidates. And so it is at times a capacity issue. Kimberly-Clark created their affinity groups years ago because they were relocating talent within the company that was diverse to this area, and they realized that no one looks like me, I can't find my hair products and that type of thing. So they were sort of forced in a lot of cases to be able to do that, was to be able to retain that talent, or they wanted to go back down to wherever they came from. So yeah, it's one of those things where it is really a capacity issue right now. And that 40 openings, that's just on the salaried side. So I've got another 85, 90 direct labor positions that I have another recruiter working on.
It's more on the nurturing side, not
It's
the
definitely on the
finding side.
Yeah, the finding side, I've got 3 search firms right now that I'm working with to help me on that piece of it. It is really the nurturing piece of the candidate process.
We have a relationship with a company, and their HR person says, I don't have time to be their best friend.
Yeah.
And that's.
But you have to be, that's the thing.
Jay, you mentioned before, Gary, you mentioned that you're upfront with people, as transparent as you could be about what New North offers